In our modern world of social media, where seemingly every device now has a camera attached to it, we do not have the same protection our parents had to try something once, realize our mistake, and then move on. Thank you, Madam President, for giving me the tremendous privilege of speaking here in this chamber tonight in what is the final debate of term and, of course, the final debate of your presidency. After 6 terms of service to the union, I'm sure I can speak on behalf of the whole committee and the members here in the chamber tonight when I say we are enormously grateful that you have finally decided to move on. If the union is the stage and we merely its players, we can all breathe a sigh of relief that the curtain has almost closed on your act. Yet, before we can usher in the new era, we have the debate tonight. This House would try everything once. Now, when Hannah asked me to speak on this motion a few days ago, my first thought was, is Hannah going through a midlife crisis? Has the prospect of leaving the union resulted in such a loss of identity that she's decided to sack it all off and spend the rest of her rustication ticking things off her bucket list? To be honest, it doesn't sound all that bad. Quite the opposite. Seems a very appealing proposition. However, it got me thinking. Just because you are able to try everything once doesn't mean that you should. However, before I expand upon this distinction, it falls on me to introduce the speakers for the proposition tonight. You, of course, have just heard from Ms. Hannah Edwards, an undergraduate student at Lincoln College. You may be surprised to hear, having risen to the office of union president, that political machinations, backstabbing, and pretending to be people's friend are not Hannah's main passions in life. No, instead, Hannah has always had a love of comedy. She insisted on a stand-up comedy performance at this term's ball, and it is perhaps not a surprise that she has decided to do a comedy debate for her last one. Hannah has even floated in the past the idea of going on to a career in stand-up comedy. Well, after listening to the jokes in her speech, let it be a reminder to the House, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Speaking second for the proposition, we have Mr. Ricky Masindo, who is a comedian and podcast host from Zimbabwe. He's a medical student at the University of Bristol, and he recently won, as Hannah thankfully said, the 2023 Chortle Student Comedy Award, which counts Mr. Phil Wang, who spoke here last week, and Mr. Joe Lycett as previous winners. Perhaps after the debate, he can give Hannah some tips for her own stand-up routine. Now, in his winning performance at the Chortle Awards, Mr. Masindo told a story of how, whilst he was a prefect at school, he was removed from office by a tribunal for his love of corruption. How fitting, therefore, he is speaking at the Oxford Union. Mr. Masindo, I can promise you'll be right at home. And speaking finally for the proposition is Mr. Josh Peters, the celebrated YouTube creator and notorious prankster. Upon hearing that Mr. Peters would be speaking here tonight, my first thought was that Casper Lee must have been unavailable. However, Mr. Peters is perhaps best known for his prank on Miss Katie Hopkins, who herself has spoken here in this chamber. When he flew her out to Prague to present her with the Campaign for Unifying the Nation trophy, I shall let the members discover what the first letters spell out. As such, I thought it would only be fitting, now that Mr. Peters is also speaking with us, for him to collect an award of his own. It is therefore my privilege, on behalf of the Oxford Union, to present him with the award for terrific wit and talent. I have the award here for everyone to see. But in all seriousness, I've been watching Mr. Peters since I was young, and it is a pleasure to speak with him tonight. Madam Speaker, Madam President, even, not for much longer, these are your speakers, and they are most welcome. Now, back to the motion at hand. As I said previously, there is an important point to recognize that whilst you may be able to try everything once, it is best that sometimes you should not. Trying something once can be a dangerously slippery slope, which can lead people into trouble. I can speak from experience here. Only last week, I went out to the pub with my friends with a full intention of only having 1 pint. How wrong I was. I should have listened to Mr. Liam Gallagher when he said in an interview, "There is no such thing as having 1 pint." 3 hours later, whilst I was stumbling down the road on my way home, I spotted a new kebab van. Foolishly, I thought I would embody the spirit of the proposition. I thought, what could possibly go wrong? I would just give it a try. When I woke up bright and early the next morning to write my politics essay, trust me, I wish I just had an early night. We all like to believe that we are different, that we possess the resolve not to fall into that trap of sliding down the slope when we try something once. Yet, we must be wary of this hubris, as the saying goes, pride comes before a fall. Moreover, in our modern world of social media, where seemingly every device now has a camera attached to it, we do not have the same protection our parents had to try something once, realize our mistake, and then move on. Everything we do is now recorded and immortalized, poised to come back and haunt us. The president knows this only too well. At her now infamous birthday party last year, as she said, she thought she would have a go at the karaoke. Now, to save Hannah any embarrassment, I will not play the video here, but it serves as an example that our right to privacy has been eroded, and as our private lives become public, we must think carefully now, more than ever, before we give something a try. We are not saying that you should not take risks, not enjoy our lives for fear of failure or embarrassment. Yet it is incumbent upon us all to be mindful of the choices we make. Now, Madam President, I would like to take this opportunity at the end of my speech to congratulate you on all you have achieved at the Oxford Union, and to thank you for all the support you have given me over the last year, both as a colleague, but more importantly, as a friend. I look forward to seeing what you will do in the future, and you have certainly given me a tough act to follow. Yet, ladies and gentlemen, this can be no fairy tale ending. After winning 4 elections in this place, Hannah has won enough, and therefore I urge you to vote for the opposition tonight. Thank you.